Hi, my name is Chris Marsh, and I've been coming to River Pointe for about 10 years now. When I was 17 years old, I kind of made a terrible decision in my life, and it ended up turning from a high school prank into a whole entire community, losing a beloved and historic high school. I'd always had God in my life. I'd always, went to church, grew up in church, went through confirmation and did all that, but just kind of always put God and Jesus on the back burner. I didn't feel like it was cool to be a Christian. After this whole event happened and turned myself in, of course I was in a deep hole in my life after going through juvenile detention and all that, and then still facing trials and everything, and then wanting to testify me as an adult. Me and my mother had left the community and moved over here to Rosenberg, and we started coming to River Pointe Church. I got very involved here, spent a lot of time with the high school service. It's been so amazing at how great these people were. They didn't judge me. They accepted me for who I am, just a boy who made a mistake, and that isn't a detriment to society and can make something out of himself. And I still remember to this day whenever I finally, it clicked, and I felt like the magic and the love, and I remember driving down a road and just looking out the window and actually finally feeling that presence, and it's just, I never would have had that until I came here and realized how great, God is, and it is, good to follow His guidance. Patrick, preaches a lot about getting into small groups and stuff, because he says that whenever you are involved with those groups, those people, it humbles your heart, and it gives you a reminder of where you want to be in life, and be a Christ follower and a disciple of His, and not just show up to church and get your message for the day and then leave. It's living that lifestyle. My name is Chris, and Jesus is my forgiver, my hand holder, and my everything.
Well, hi there, River Pointe. It's great to be here. My name is Blake Bergstrom, and I'm one of the pastors here. And as always, I'm just humbled and honored to get to fill in for Pastor Kelly, who is working so hard right now to get so many initiatives off the ground and going. And man, I just keep praying for him, because there is a lot on him, a lot of decisions. And man, what a privilege for me to get to kind of come and bring some relief for him and prepare a talk and a series to be able to speak about the importance of our work. I just feel humbled and honored to be asked. And man, I just want you to know I love you. Thank you so much for having me. So I want to welcome everybody here at the Richmond campus. And I want to welcome everybody at Missouri City. I hope that you're wonderful. We can't forget everybody that's at the West End campus. Continue to pray for them. It's a brand new baby church that's being launched. And everybody that's online all around the world, thank you for joining us and being a part of the amazing things that God's doing here at River Pointe. So today, we're in a series that is called Your Work Matters. And we're talking about how important it is to honor God in our work and in our vocations. So last week, we learned a lot about the importance of being on mission as believers, and to use our gifts and our abilities to be unleashed on society so that we can engage our culture and have maximum impact with our lives. So as a believer, it's our job to be on mission. And so I want you to turn to the person beside you, look him in the eyes, and say, dude, you're a missionary. Go ahead. Say, dude, you're a missionary. That's amazing. You didn't know that. So traditionally, missions has sort of been viewed as somewhere else, right? It's a place that we go. It's sort of like we think of it as a destination, right? But here's the deal. Being on mission is not a destination or a place. It's who we are as followers of Jesus. Now, it's true that you're on mission whenever you go to a third world country or somewhere around the world, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Tuesday at 3 o'clock p.m. Like wherever we are, with whoever happens to be around in your day-to-day life, are you on mission, right? So how do we as plumbers and teachers and nurses and moms and custodians and poodle groomers, no matter what we're doing, how do we recognize that and our work as mission. Are you guys following me? Okay. So it's important for you to realize something, that here at River Pointe Church, the heart of this place is that nobody here is a mere spectator, but all of us are actively on mission, on the field together, right here in Houston. See, we can't forget that God has strategically placed us as missionaries in our communities, in our workplaces, and in our neighborhoods. Not only that, but that we would also invest in upcoming generations, that our children and our youth would view themselves as missionaries all the way from elementary school, all the way onto their college campuses, and then into their work environment. So on Sunday, we're a church that's gathered. But on Monday, we're sent out as missionaries as the church scattered, okay? So you talk about countercultural in a world and country where we sort of prioritize and we glamorize the importance of individuality and pleasure sort of above everything else. But listen, I got to tell you this. The church isn't that. The church doesn't exist for you. It's not about you and your preferences. It's about worshiping the living God and then going out in the world to serve Him with our lives. And it's easy for us to fall into this kind of lie that's in the rest of our lives where we become consumers instead of investors, renters instead of owners. See, when I rent a car or a house, man, I don't care about it. I drive it hard. If it's you know, I just don't take care of it. It doesn't matter to me if something bad goes wrong. But if I own it, man, if that house is on fire or my car gets keyed, like I care. It matters to me. So listen, I'm not talking about a stupid car. I'm talking about the fact that we are followers of Jesus and we've given our lives to Him. So hear me, we are owners, and it matters that we do our job. We take care of the business that God has us to be about. I'm going to say this again. Our mission, our job description is what? I just want us to say this again. It's to know God and to make Him known. Will you guys say that with me? To know God and to make Him known. That's our mission. That's it, right? Like that's why we're here, isn't it? Like that's the point, and there's nothing else that matters in this entire world than that one thing. And everything that we do and say, the one thing that we can't miss is to know God and to make Him known. So just dream with me for a minute. Let's just imagine, what would it be like to be a family that's on mission? A family on mission. Now, when I talk about family, I just want to say that I know there's people in this room or online somewhere that you're single parent, or maybe you haven't married and you've stayed single your life. And I just want to say to you that this message still includes you. You're not off the hook, because God's our Father and we're His children. And when you become a believer, you have a family. And so I want to talk about how important it is for us to be on mission as a family. And ironically, if you are a parent, this Thursday, there is a great talk that's going to be given by Dr. Pickering. It's called Becoming a Better Parent. I'd encourage you. I think it's going to be really helpful to a lot of people that want to grow in their parenting. So this summer, there was this massive realization that happened. I'm going to be a little emotional. I just want you to know that. But I am sort of at a season where my 4 daughters, I'm just about done. I call it the 4th quarter of child raising. So my oldest went away to college, and so she's no longer with us. And my youngest, and the one below her is a senior, and she's going off to who knows where. She's talking about going to New Zealand to be a worship leader. I'm like, that's from the devil. And so she's talking about all kinds of missions work, all in California, whatever. And so anyways, I'm at this season where I'm like, man, they're kind of leaving us now. And it's really hard. And it's a loss in our life to not have our oldest baby girl, to have her gone now. And so this summer in August, just a few months ago, I kind of realized this, and I kind of woke up to the fact that, man, this big question inside of me as a dad was, did I give them what they needed? Did I say what I needed to say? You know, like it's pretty much done, and my job's about done. And I just really started getting really emotional about that. So I speak for a living, and so I have great friends in Colorado. We decided to go stay with them for free, which was awesome. And then we spent, as a family, 3 weeks in Colorado. And I came up with a theme. I'm like, man, if I've been a youth pastor for 9 years and I took everybody else's kids on trips where I came up with the theme and got speakers and had a verse and all that, I can do this for my own kids. So I did that. We talked about, we had a theme called Who We Are 2016, and I had a speaker come, and my wife and I got real serious and intentional with each one of our kids, and we sat them down and we told them who they are and what we see in them as a child of God. We spoke verses over them, we studied with them, and we prayed over them. And it was really amazing. It was like the best family trip we've ever done, and probably ever will do. To go to Colorado and to be up in the mountains and praying together as a family, like praying over our kids as to what they'll go and become. And then to ask my kids to do the same thing for one another. So they were telling each other who each other are. And it was just beautiful. The Spirit of God was so strong. It was just really rich as a family. And so we decided to do a bunch of adventures along with this. So I did a big zip line and this big swing. We were up in the Sangre de Cristo mountain range in this place called Horn Creek, and it was an amazing place and environment. We also climbed this 13,000-foot mountain together, and I have a picture here for you, I think, that shows you that. And so we were all together. We were doing these adventures and these challenges, and then we wanted to end it in Manitou Springs, Colorado, and do this thing called the Manitou Incline. So it's like over 2,000 steps, and I think it goes from like 7,000 elevation to like 12,000 in a short amount of time. The grade is up to 80% grade, and you just like kind of work your way up this mountain. It's a big deal. People come from all over the world to do this climb, and it's just miserable. It's just awful. And you just like make your way up the side of this mountain. Well, we got 3/4 of the way up, and out of nowhere, at 11,000 feet or something, this massive storm comes over the mountain. And I'm talking, the locals were saying, get down the mountain right now, get off this mountain. They're yelling at us. And we're like, oh. And so this storm was an electrical storm, and we're literally in the cloud. And it was the spookiest feeling because it's like, and then it'd strike, and we're right in it. And we're like, somebody's going to get struck by lightning. The water's coming down so heavy that the side of this mountain turns into a waterfall, and our trail was like dug out, so it became a river, and we were fearful for our lives. I'd like to finish that story a little bit later. Raising kids, man, it's hard work, and I just want to say that it's kind of like a marathon. It's not a sprint, and we have to remember that it's about going on a journey with your kids. It's important to know you're there for 2,000 steps that's going to take them hopefully through the rest of their lives. And so it's important for us to realize that, man, we're modeling what it looks like to persevere, to learn how to face our massive challenges of life. They're watching you, your whole life, deal with conflict and controversy, and they learn how to handle it by the way that you either don't, and you walk out in anger and bitterness and hatred, or you choose faith and love and peace in the middle of your challenges of life. So when your kids are complaining and grumbling about how hard life is and how much they want to quit, it's our job to show them that sometimes God doesn't change your situation because He's working hard to change your heart. And we have to focus way too much attention on busyness and stuff when we need to be placing our focus as parents on who our kids are becoming, right? And so, moms and dads, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. That's really questions that I'm asking myself right now, and it's coming from my gut. And I want to just maybe help you in asking a couple of questions, especially if you're on the front end of raising a kid. These would be great questions to really think about. Do you view yourself as raising young missionaries that are going to be sent out into the world? Number one. Number two, do your kids know that your one obsession in life, that the one thing you care about the most is to know God and to make Him known? Those are some great, great questions I think all of us should ask ourselves. But I think a lot of people miss that. And I don't know how, but somehow we'll end up like having a kid in our home for 20 years, and somehow we forgot to teach like that one thing. And please hear me, I'm not here to beat anybody up or make you feel bad. I certainly am no expert in raising kids. I'm just hoping my kids will be okay after years and years of counseling when they leave my house. But I see way too many families that are like just crazy busy, hectic and frantic and stressed, and from one thing to another, events, activities, sports, and it's really easy, I think, to wake up and realize, oh my gosh, like they're moving out. I'm done, and we were so busy, but did I teach them what I was supposed to? Did I show them not to just have faith in God, but to be on mission for God? Because I think a lot of us are pretty good at making sure that we know God and that our kids know God, but it's the second part of that I think we often miss. Are we making Him known? Is my family making God known? Because that's the mission. That's why we're here. In Matthew 6:33, Jesus taught us to seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. And when we make the kingdom of God our first priority, then the mission of God comes alive in our families. We have it the wrong way when we say, man, I have to put my family first. That's not what Jesus said. He said, seek God first, place Him above everything, and then just watch what happens to your family. But man, you talk about hard, really, really hard. Try raising a kid. Everybody's an expert until you have one, right? I have 4. And there's nothing more challenging or greater responsibility on planet Earth than to be given a child from God and to be told to help that child turn out like Him. Wow, what? And some days it's just wonderful. Our precious little children are just so delightful. Then there's other days that it's like guerrilla warfare. I'm raising a terrorist. And you know what? They have skills and tactics. They're breaking us down by depriving us of sleep. They throw up on us and they break our stuff. Like it's hard to raise kids, man. So I'd like to quote my very favorite human being on the planet, if you don't mind. Her name is Bergstrom. She's my wife and she's smoking hot. That's a different thing. She says this all the time. She says, our children are the message we send to the world we will never meet. Our children are the message we send to the world that we'll never meet. If I've done anything right in my life, it was marrying that amazing woman. She's said that for 20 years in our entire marriage. And we have worked really hard to make sure that our girls knew that their job was to know God and to make Him known. We've tried to serve together somewhere every week. Most recently, we've been super involved in an inner city ministry. But no matter where we've lived, we've invested locally in our neighborhoods and especially in our home. Our house, it always has somebody around that we're ministering to, whether it's one of our kids' friends or somebody that's homeless or addict. And our house we kind of say we take on stray people. And people say that when they walk into our home, it's like you feel hugged. There's like an illegal amount of joy in my house. And it's because we try not to live for ourselves. It's partly because we've taken time to help them see the nations. We've taken them internationally to serve somewhere. And I took my daughter Madison when she was 14 to the Dominican Republic. And man, we went down to the poorest of the poor there and served in the slums and held babies and fed hungry children. And she also saw me baptize some people in the Caribbean Ocean, which was awesome. And I took Mariah to Honduras, and while we were there, we built a playground for a school that didn't have any funds. I got to be alongside of her as we delivered live chickens and goats to the surrounding villages, and to watch her carry a live chicken was hilarious. We also on that trip got to go on a horseback riding trip that was unbelievable. It's a ride that I'll never, ever forget, and I'll cherish the rest of my life as we went back into the mountains of Honduras and Nicaragua. I also had the privilege to take my whole family to Costa Rica in January of this year, and we went there to serve a church that is supporting a mission that is for some kids in this Saturday park outreach program where we feed them and gave them toys and played games with them, and it was absolutely remarkable. My daughter and I led worship at that church together, and it was really an amazing trip. Not just that, but I also got to see a sloth right outside of our window, and a monkey ate banana off of my cheek, and we also got to jump off of these waterfalls, and we learned how to surf in Costa Rica, so that didn't suck. A couple of years ago, I had the privilege to take my whole family to Africa, and we went there to put in a wood shop for underprivileged kids to learn trades. And while we were there, man, the stories of rejection that my children sat and listened to hear the abuse and the pain, and to be kicked out of their homes, and to hear those kids who've been under such enormous pressure and heartache, to hear them sing and worship God every morning and every night, it just brought my whole family to our knees, weeping before the living God. I just got to tell you, what I've given my kids is not just a heart for this nation, but a heart for the nations, a heart for the people of God. And I'm telling you, it works. If you want your family to be on fire for God, then start serving alongside of them. If you want peace and love and unity in your home, and you feel like, man, I've blown it as a parent, my kids are, I'm telling you, if you need to take them somewhere to serve God, that's what will happen. If you take on a mission and find a need as a family, when your focus is taken off of you and your problems, but you see the enormous needs and brokenness of others around the world, all of a sudden, man, your problems, they just don't seem that significant anymore. When you're on mission together as a family, man, there's just nothing like it. Everything turns into something that's beautiful, like an opportunity. Everywhere you go, my kids will go, Dad, look, let's go serve them. Dad, and you're just going, I don't want to. The game is on, and I want to have a beer. No, just kidding. Well, listen, we didn't have money. I'm a pastor, and we were broke as a joke. And so you're going, well, yeah, you did that. You're a pastor. But I'm just a guy. We also didn't have the time. We always had stuff going, but for us, we just wanted our lives to be lived for something other than our own comfort and our own pleasure. See, there's always excuses, always, to not go and a reason to not be available. But if you really recognize your job description and you realize that all I have is intimacy with God, and if you really do love God, then serving His people it's not really an option. If you love God, then we love his people, right? So last week, when I talked about how serious I am about using our business as mission, I'm much, much more passionate about families that are on mission. And here's why. The institution of the family is the bedrock of every society. If integrity, respect, morals, discipline, and especially faith aren't being taught in the homes, then we can't be surprised when you can't find that in our schools and in our workplaces, in our cities and in our country. If any country doesn't build strong children, then the future of that country looks pretty bleak. Parenting is this amazing gift to model for our kids how to be in relationship with God, with their future spouse, with the extended family, in business, and the Comcast guy. Right? Parents, listen, your kids' relationships and how they communicate was learned from you. They're watching. And what have you taught, and what have they caught? Because I promise they're catching much, much more than what you're saying. When our families and our church family no longer view serving people and giving charity as like giving crumbs from the table, but instead give people a place at our table, then the mission of God is fulfilled. Here's something to think about. Jesus' last words were to go and make disciples in all the world. But that has to start right here in the family of God. Our focus needs to be 100% on Jesus, and his last words should become our first responsibility, especially when it comes to raising up disciples inside the four walls of our homes. It has to happen there. Proverbs 31 verse 8 says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy." One of my favorite writers named Frederick Buechner has this amazing quote where he says, "The place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger, they meet." Where your deep gladness and the world's greatest hunger, when they meet, that's where God's going to call you to. So what is that for you? What is the mission that God's been kind of tapping on you about? Have you been blessed with a burden to go do something for God's people? Maybe you've been putting it off. Is there something or someone that you're going, I'm supposed to invite them to come and be a part of our family? Because let me tell you about some of the amazing stories that are happening around here in this church. People that have heard their great burden and their great desire to go meet a need for Christ. And I got to tell you, it's just normal people here at River Pointe from different campuses that have stepped up to do amazing things on mission for God. Did you know we have small groups around here that serve around this city in big ways every single week? We serve in the prisons like you wouldn't believe. We also have like 40 Christmas trees given to North Richmond people every single year. We do a backpack drive for kids that can't afford school supplies. We build bikes for kids. We repair fences. Our women's small groups, they provide over 1,100 lunches for impoverished kids. Not just that, but they also collect blankets, hats, socks, and gloves, and they deliver them to the homeless. And one small group even did like a home makeover for the entire family. It painted and cleaned the house and then did the big reveal, very similar to the TV show. Not just that, but that's small groups that are on missions and people that just go, I've got to meet that need. But then there's every single weekend, there are people that sacrifice big to be out in the parking lot and be flipped off and cussed out. There's people in kids ministry that deal with snotty noses and filthy diapers. There's people in student ministry that deal with teenagers. That's enough said. There's people that help out doing the cafe and making burgers at the grill. There's people that are in creative team. And man, it's unbelievable the way that this church steps up when there's a storm. I don't care if it's a flood here or if it's in Louisiana or if it's a hurricane that's in Cuba or Haiti, you name it. River Pointe, you are on mission. That's why I love this place. That's why I love being a part of what God's doing through you, because I see you guys doing things for the kingdom of God where I think heaven is just like applauding, going, yes, those are my kids, man. And they love me, and they know me, and they're making me known. So what is it for you? Is there something that you have been disobedient to God? As your family, what mission have you guys adopted and taken care of? As a small group, is there something that you're supposed to be doing and you haven't yet? What could we do as the church if we were truly united as a family that's on mission? Have you ever noticed that eyes, they follow eyes? So if you walk into like a mall, and you look around and like everybody's like looking up and to the left. Like you walk in like, what's everybody looking at? And you start going, what is that? Right? Eyes, they follow eyes. In Hebrews chapter 12, it says, let us work. That's not it. There we go. Let us run with perseverance, the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, fixing our eyes on Jesus. And so I would ask you, parents, small group leaders, and anybody that's a part of the family of God, have you fixed your eyes where they're supposed to be fixed? Are you looking at what really matters? So there we were hitting this storm, and it's coming down like crazy. And I was behind everybody else because I'm fat and out of shape. And they're all way ahead of me up the mountain. And this storm hits and people are bailing down these stairs, but the stairs got wet. So I didn't want my kids going down the stairs. And so I thought, man, I've got to go up there. Even though everybody's saying to go down, they're ahead of me. So I got to get to them. Well, I didn't know if they went all the way to the top because we were 3/4 of the way, or if they took the bailout and went down this trail you can go down really fast. And so I get to that bailout and I'm like, I don't know if I should go up there. Are they at the top of this mountain? I didn't know if they were alive. I was scared to death. I didn't know if they were hurt because I finally took the bailout, and when I was going down this trail, you have to understand it's like, creviced out from so many people walking on it, and it turns into a river. And so we're having to like jump from side to side the whole way down. I'm just thinking, certainly one of my kids will break an ankle. At the best, like, this is so dangerous. And I'm like so fearful. I'm yelling out, girls. I'm whistling. I get down to the bottom of the mountain. I never saw them. I kept asking people, did you see these 5 beautiful blonde girls? Have you seen them? Have you seen them like scared to death? I don't know where they're at. I finally get down to the bottom of the mountain. They're nowhere to be found. And I'm like, great. I'm going back up. What if they're still up there? But there's no way because I was so slow. They were way ahead of me, and certainly they came down, and I'm standing there like for 15 minutes thinking in the rain, like I don't want to leave. And finally somebody drives up, who's one of our friends, and says, hey, your girls are back at the house, and they're sitting by the fire sipping tea. I'm like, that's awesome. So glad they care about their dad. I made it. It's fine. And I remember just going, man, in the middle of this horrible thing, I wonder how my kids responded. And to hear the stories when we got together and to hear them say, Dad, we were singing, we were worshiping, we were praying the whole way we were running down that mountain. We were crying out to God, protect our ankles, Father, protect us, keep us safe, keep Dad safe. We were praying for you, Dad. Yeah, great. Thanks for waiting, jerks. I'm glad you prayed. But I remember just thinking, man, somewhere along the line I've gotten something right. Because in the middle of like a massive trial, like maybe they'll be ready when they're out by themselves and a storm hits and the enemy attacks them or something awful happens because they're focused. My kid's focus is on Jesus. And he's their pioneer. He's their perfecter. He'll guide them for every step that they need along the way. So to be on mission, it's never easy. And I promise, there will be setbacks. There will be storms. And maybe that's where you are right now. And you're going, Blake, you have no idea. My world's falling apart. My family, maybe it's a sickness or maybe it's a divorce. And you've been struck by lightning and it's just splinters. And you're going, how do I make sense of this, God? Can I just tell you that if you'll keep your eyes focused on the author and perfecter of your faith, he'll be there to help you live by the power of the Spirit when you don't have the power yourself. He'll give you the strength that you need. And he'll walk alongside you the whole journey if you'll just trust in him. Keep your eyes focused on him. Will you guys pray with me? Father God, we are so sorry for how quickly we think that you're not there and how we often just run from you instead of running to you. God, thank you for helping us remember to take care of the oppressed, to love those that are poor, to serve those that are in need, and to live a life that's others-focused. Jesus, help us to not be so concerned with our own day-to-day life and stress and worries and fears, but instead, God, to run towards you and to fight this battle for the long run and to persevere, God. We ask, Lord, that you would give us the strength that we need to do the job that you've given us. We love you with all of our heart and all of our soul and all of our mind, God. It's in your precious and holy name we pray. Everybody said, amen.